Blog Talk Radio.
How you doing? Welcome to the Huddle with Israel Doctrine. I'm your host, Carl Albert, and you have now entered into the Huddle. The Huddle is our non-profit. Right now, we have a blog talk radio show in which we broadcast, daily, during the weekdays to, the listening audience over there. But also, we simultaneously broadcast here on YouTube. For those that may be watching live on YouTube, so if you want to call in and listen while you're on the road or anything like that, people, all you got to do is dial this number that I'm about to give you. Is 646-668-8071. And you can call in and participate, conversate with us. Anything that you see or hear on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and you got questions about, when you see the show title, basically telling you what it is we talking about, and it's something that you interested in or going into or learning about or, dialoguing about, you can easily just call that number once again, which is 646-668-8071. I'm your host, Carl Albert, and, I'm a gentleman, if you allow me to be. But, people, today's topic or title is, are Hebrew Israelites unifying with the Talmud and Kabbalah Jewish mysticism? It's hard to come off my lips. But, are Hebrew Israelites unifying on that? Now, you might ask, what do I mean by that? I know people always ask and question what I mean by what I say. Like, what I say is not what I mean. But, people, you have the Old Testament non-Messianic, and I'm going to use that term, we're non-believing Messianic, right? They believe that there's going to be a Messiah, but they don't believe, which makes them a non-believer that he didn't came. Non-believing Messianics, that's out there pushing the Kabbalah and the Talmud teachings. Now, I would say this is a Zionist mindset, a Zionist mind frame, right? And it's not one of the true children of Jacob. But yet the children of Esau, or the children of Japhet, has came up with this Talmud, with this Kabbalah, with this mystical, or this mysticalism. It won't roll off my tongue, people. And so what the brothers is doing is, when I say the brothers, let's put some names to them, right? Nasi Yashavel and Zion Lex and those that are a part of his congregation, Shamaha Torah, and those that affiliate with them, they talking unification. Now, as I tell y'all, I'm a nationalist, an Israelite nationalist. I believe in nation building and, controlling your own things. And this Talmud and Kabbalah is very questionable with his eyes. But as I showed you in videos before, that, you have brothers that's from that persuasion, Old Testamenters, Torah and Tanakh based, believers dealing with pale Jews or white Jews. As Dr. Ben wrote We the Black Jews and broke down a certain science and understanding of what's going on between the blacks and the white. They call themselves Jews, right? These brothers is pushing this. Why is it they pushing it? Because they deal with white Jews. We had the controversial video that went up by Guerrilla Hebrew showing that Zion Lex was dealing with a pale skin Edomite or Jephite, you know. And he basically called him his master teacher. You know, he's sharing information and knowledge with this brother who is of so-called Jewish lineage, or however you say genealogy. And so therefore you should be able to understand and see where the Talmud and the Kabbalah come in at, because him and Nasi them believe that, you know, they can deal with these people, and seeing that their faith is very similar, being Torah and Tanakh and Psalms and Proverbs or whatever, you know, base, they have a lot in common. But as I showed you the video when I was talking to Guerrilla Hebrew, it was actually the first video which he didn't wake up and participate in. I showed you the unification conversation that took place in Atlanta, Georgia, when Nasi was hosting, you know, a camping trip or whatever. And during this time, they was all sitting down. Divine was with them. Another brother was with them, you know. And a lot of people from Shamaha Torah, but this one brother on the left, who the camera didn't pick up when he said it, but later on you can see him in the video speaking. All you got to do is put the voice and face together. And at that time, he was like, well, we really can't do this, because they were saying, well, what is Hebrew culture or Israelite culture? And the brother said, well, we can't diss the white Jews because that's our culture. You know, when the 6 points are the so-called shield of David and stuff, that's our culture. When the Hamakos, whatever y'all, and stuff, that's our culture. Reading the Torah straight through in classes without breaking stuff down and teaching it, that's our culture. You know what I'm saying? Walking around with the Torah and stuff. You know, go to some of their services. I know you see Shamaha Torah in Brooklyn, and you see them brothers up there get up and talk and, you know, teach and do things like that. But I actually been in a Shamaha Torah on the Sabbath day with Nasi them, and, you know, it's not the same people. You would think you was just in a straight up Jewish synagogue. You know, so I'm speaking from my know. I'm not speaking from no position I don't know. So don't seem like I'm gonna get a lot of callers with this. The nation of Hebrew Israelites is mad at me, I guess. But it's cool. I know some people might try to call in and seeing that it said when a show available today. I don't know if Blog Talk did that, people, or what. And all I did is just went live as Blog Talk allowed one to do. But I promoted it on YouTube, and I put the number out there. So once again, the number is 646-668-8071, right? And I put it out there so y'all can call in, people, and participate. Do y'all think that, Hebrew Israelites should be unified with brothers like Nasi and Zion, and taking our people to the Talmud and the Kabbalah. Do y'all believe that's what should be done? If so, call in and speak on it. If you believe that that shouldn't be done, then call in and speak on it. It's as simple as that. People, as has been stated and duly noted, that the nation of Israel is not to set strangers over on people. If you don't know that, then yes, it's a very sad day. But that's what it boils down to, the people. If you listening to Edom and you just saying, well, what they have attained is ours, or that which they putting out there as ours, then you would have to actually truly prove that this stuff is meant. And the white man or J-Fat brought that to y'all or whatever. People, once again, we was in slavery. Everything we got was from the white man or from our oppressors. So everything we got was from our oppressors. But you know who also had a hand in oppressing us and shipping us over here into these Americas, North and South America? It was also the Jewish man. He owned the cargo boats that brought us over here as cargo. So both of them oppressed us, and both of them made sure that at the end of the day, whatever we received at their hands. So as I keep telling people, it's two ways to come into the knowledge. Two ways that I can only think of. If you could think of another one, let me know. There's only two ways to come into the knowledge that you Israel. That you go through the Hebrew text, which basically Jewish people put forth and bring forth. Go through that text and go through the rabbi way, or you go through the so-called Christian text, which is the Bible, and you go through the Father's way. That's the rabbi and the Father, which if you read the Bible, Jesus said, don't call nobody rabbi or your spiritual father or your spiritual master. So when people say master teachers, they say in the same equivalent as rabbi. I don't call nobody my master teacher or my rabbi. If so, my Lord, my God, my rabbi, my master teacher is Jesus himself. And whatever, name you call him in Hebrew is cool with me too. I don't have no problems with no term or no name that one choose to call him. Right? So that's the question for the day, people. This is what I'm putting forth. The call for unification, is it a pseudo call to cause people to say, well, we're unified, and if you're not with this unity, then you're the bad guy or the bad woman. You just want disunity. Because this is what it seemed like the political slogan on the landscape right now is. That if you not just unifying based up on the fact that we're all blacks, coons, Negroes, African American, and every other byword that's under the sun, even the byword in which we give ourselves, Hebrew Israelite. Yes, I think that's a byword too. It's just equivalent to Negro, coon, and everything else in my book. You might get mad and don't want to listen to the rest of the show because I said that, but that's how I see it. If you don't see it that way and you got a problem or offended because I said that, cool. You don't have to watch anymore. You know, I don't have a gun to anybody's head to listen to the content that, you know, is being created over here on this show. But if you choose to pay attention, I appreciate it, you know, and hopefully we can grow together and get something out of this dialogue. So, push the Hebrew Israelite terminology. People push the Hebrew tongue. People push the Hebraic thought. People push this. But once again, people, let me remind you that Esau is also a Hebrew. And his language is a Hebrew dialect also. His thought is a Hebraic thought also. Do that mean that it's the children of Israel or the children of Jacob's dialect thought and so on and so forth? No, it don't mean that. See, that in itself is divisional arguments and this, that, and the other. We have to deal with that, though. No one is going to tell you that. So I take it up on myself to tell you that, especially for the newbies in this knowledge, in this understanding, what people like to throw at you. I'm in this truth. Yeah, it may be true in some sense, but it's not in others. You know, when you're dealing with certain people that's talking about the Bible, Israel's doctrine, because everybody don't deal with it from Genesis to Revelation, right? So, I'm not going to get very technical and stuff. Y'all know me, I'm not the technical guy. I don't like to go get technical. I thought I'll have some people on here that deal with the technicalities of the Kabbalah and the Talmud, Jewish mystical, you know, esoterical knowledge. So let me look around again. I got 5 people on YouTube watching. I ain't got too many callers today. But people, when you don't have Jesus, Yahshua, Yehoshua, whatever term people use, I use Jesus once again, so I'm going to stop saying the other ones, because it, you know, it's too much thought on my head to try to think of a tongue that I don't speak and how y'all using and stuff. So just know this it's equivalent with me. It may not be with you, but just know when I say Jesus, it's whatever name you call him from here on out. That when you don't have the Holy One of Israel, and you have a bunch of people trying to be the Holy One or one of the Holy Ones of Israel, then that's where you come into the problem. If you don't have the Holy One, and he don't fulfill what's in Isaiah 53, and that he don't take you into the new covenant, then you lost, especially when 70 AD then took place, the destruction of the temple and the scattering of the Levites. Who is it now to be the priest unto you? You know, a lot of brothers call themselves priest this and priest that. I understand those brothers, especially if they coming from a New Testament perspective. They preach after the order of Melchizedek. But from the Old Testament perspective, you can only be a priest after Levi. And you can only be a high priest if you have the Aaron lineage. So, with no Levitical priesthood, no temple, no Messiah, you up the creek without a paddle now. You need some Talmud stuff to try to understand and deal with stuff. You need some Kabbalah stuff. You need some mysticism, some esoteric knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have the Messiah. Well, who is he? You know, I find that these brothers, Nasi and Zion, they don't even take the perspective that David was the Messiah, David's going to be the Messiah. I guess they know enough that David's seed will have to be the Messiah or the prophet, like unto Moses, that Abraham was prophesied there should come through his seed, and know that one Isaac, and know that one Jacob, and know it wasn't one of his 12s, but it said the root and also the root of Jesse, right? So I guess the brothers know that much, that they not ignorant to, you know, this understanding, so they still don't want to give you a Messiah, you know. 1 second, 252, peace, how you doing?
What's going on, brother? Peace, peace.
Peace. So, therefore, like I said, without the Messiah, without the Holy One, they have to push something else. Because the New Testament tell you about itching ears. They just want to be scratched. They want to hear something. You know, you can read where Paul go to the unknown God and all the people sitting around arguing, and then he bring up Jesus, and they like, oh, so a new God we haven't heard about. Tell us about him. Because some people just want to hear stuff, people. And when you start talking kundalinis and chakras and, you know, vibrations and all this hermetic teaching and, you know, esoteric stuff, what if it don't come from the Kabbalah or the Talmud text? You know, they can even slide some of Dr. Valentine stuff in there, some of Dr. York stuff in there, and things of that nature. You know, African mystery systems and different things. But you don't know. So even when they tell you they're dealing with the Talmud and the Kabbalah, you don't know if they getting this, you know what I'm saying, from some spirit feeding it to them or whatever, because it's draped in mysticism. You know what I'm saying? But this is what these brothers dive into and deal with. And as I said, we got a lot of babies coming along. And you can take Deuteronomy 28, run it down to them, the curses and stuff, and they will feel like, and it will seem like to them, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, they dealing with some extra knowledge now and stuff, something you can't get from the text. That's why the Hebrew is there. You can't understand it unless you read it in the Hebrew. You can't do this. It's all kind of excuses to just take you from the plain old text, which you find in the KJV, which people will say was tampered with and different stuff. Once again, to take you from the plain text. So, how you doing, sister? Your mic open.
Hey, peace, brother. I'm looking at your title. I'm trying to find out what is a Talmud and a Kabbalah Jewish.
Kabbalah.
Yeah, what's that supposed to be?
It's some Jewish stuff, and it deal with Judaism. Those Edomites that you know, claiming to be Israel. And if y'all don't understand, most people that don't deal with the Bible or follow it or whatever, and you're trying to figure out what's really going on over here, I know the sister understand to a degree what I'm talking about. But the story of Jacob and Esau, two twin brothers that was wrestling in the womb, basically.
Yeah.
Or people are arguing about that or whatever. But they got into an argument over who the covenant of the birthright go to, due to the fact that it was sold and this and that. But what it come down to is for Jacob to receive that which he purchased with a pot of lentil and stuff, he had to dress up, put on hairy garments and stuff, and dress up if he was his brother Esau, to go unto his father Isaac, who was blind and becoming had hearing impaired problems and stuff. And he went in there and he basically got the birthright, portraying his brother whom the birthright was supposed to go to, but it was sold, and so on and so forth. To make a long story short, this is what happened. Jacob went in there as if he was Esau. He got the blessing. Esau came, said, Father, what's going on? And he said, hey, your brother done got the blessing and stuff. He said, well, do you have something for me? So his father gave him the same thing. But he put a stipulation to it, that when you break the yoke off of your neck and stuff, that's when you can receive that which is yours. For the little time frame you have to keep it, because really it's Jacob's. He got it now. It's for sure. But you can enjoy it for a while. This is basically what you get from the text. So when you go to like the book of Obadiah and different things, you see that Esau broke the yoke. In 70 AD, when Israel was sacked by Titus, the Roman general, son of Vespasian, and the temple was destroyed and Israel was scattered, that Esau came in and took all the possessions and things of Jacob. And you know what he did? He did what Jacob did. He said, okay, Jacob gone. The world really don't understand what did just happened. I'm going to take his identity. So in 70 AD, fell off the historical, map, because they took on the identity of Jacob. We, the Negro, the African American, the colored, was brought over to America and scattered throughout the four corners of the world and all 7 continents. Identity taken, land taken, possessions taken. God said he's seen it. All you got to do is read Obadiah. It's just basically one chapter. And so now you have the Edomites, who call themselves the Jews today, dealing with Judaism and saying they Jewish, and they call themselves Israelis. They have initiated their system of worship and their God and their this and that into the world under the false identity of the true children of God, the true Israelites, the true children of Jacob. So the Talmudists and the Kabbalahism that came about comes through these guys, but it just didn't start there. During Jesus' time, you had the scribes and the Pharisees. You had the tradition of the elders, and these are the things in which Jesus was fighting against and dealing with, and telling them that you're leaving out the weightier matters. You're not dealing with these type of things. You're dealing with those type of things because they had become corrupted. The priesthood always came corrupted, when they couldn't. And other caller, you'll have to hit 1. I don't know if you want to speak. I might open up your mic to see if you want to speak. Seeing that you calling in probably from a device that just got your name up there. But this is the basic story. So when you're dealing with the Jewish man today, the Zionists, and anybody know about Zionists, then you get into the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and the Shield of David, if it's theirs, and the dragon, and the many different things that go along with that. I'm not going to talk on that too long because I don't like dealing with that. I'd rather just tell you about Israel and tell you how we should come back into our fold and come back up under the law, statutes, and commandments of God, and through His Son, and so on and so forth. I don't want to get into the big time conspiracy stuff. You see enough of that watching the Illuminati videos and things of that nature. You can watch The Simpsons and they'll tell you, about Mr. Rothschild. If you don't know, Mr. Burns is Mr. Rothschild's. But
okay, look, I heard you talking about this language. Look at here, the Hebrews. When I meet these When I meet some of them and the women, I don't know who got the best women, but the women of the men, and they be talking to. I said, well, what do that mean? And they say that Hebrew. I say, okay, I don't talk Hebrew, so that other name they be trying to call Jesus. What that name is?
Well,
what is it? Yahshua.
Well, I just got through saying,
I don't even know what that is.
Sister, I don't know about all that stuff. I deal with Jesus. That's it. I don't speak Hebrew. I don't try to speak Hebrew. I don't go in no books and get the verbiage and this and that. So we're gonna leave that alone. I'm not knowledgeable in that area like that. I know something about it, but we're not gonna go there. We're gonna try to stay here and deal with the fact that the Talmud and the Kabbalah is not for us. It's a Jewish.
No, it's not.
It's a Jewish mystery system. I can't. The tongue won't deal with.
That's the click. We're gonna click right there. Look, I'm looking at the scripture where they keep talking about that Jacob stole Esau birthright. No, he didn't. Because in Genesis 25, 26, 25, 24. No, it didn't. Rebecca, she went and inquired the Lord, and the Lord told her about the two nations. And he told her that the elder was going to serve the younger. I've been trying to show them these scriptures for the Lord. They refuse to go and look in the Old Testament and read it for themselves. Because when I was first told, they said, well, Jacob stole Esau. No, then you on this land talking about the birthright. And I always knew it was in here, and I always be reading it. I don't know who even started that, but I'm so glad you're on that topic.
The thing is, if you don't read for yourself, then you allow someone to teach you what they believe in the Bible. You ain't read it for yourself, and you're not putting your faith or your belief in that which is written. Someone is dictating to you what to believe, what you should know, what you should understand, things of that nature. So it really don't matter where it started from, because it started from Satan. Anything else, you can find a physical being, but when you understand the spiritual aspect of life and things of that nature, then that's all you need to know, that Satan is the father of all lies. And if it ain't the truth, it's a lie. Even a half truth, it's a whole lie. But we got another line open. 1 second. How you doing?
Hello.
Peace. How you doing?
Am I on?
Yeah, your line's open.
What's up, Carl?
Peace. How you doing, bro?
This is Pit Boss.
All right.
So the topic is the Kabbalah?
Talmud and the Kabbalah, the Jewish mystical systems. And the Israelites be trying to fly those Israelites or Old Testamenters that, is trying to bring this to the table. But should they be trying to keep disunity with those people? Because, as I said before, a lot of them Old Testament brothers have knocked off New Testament brothers, due with the fact that they said the Bible been tampered with and, bringing out certain type of things about King James and so on and so forth. Those that's been in it for a while can withstand the barrage, but those that's new to it, falling by the wayside, seeing that the seed that was sown wasn't truly on good ground. But you can speak if you want to, bro.
Well, I was just wondering, as they adding the Kabbalah, if they're going by the Torah, and then like the Talmud is what is this, more like a oral teaching they added to it?
Correct.
So I'm trying to. Are you saying now that a couple of these Israelite groups is adding this information on top of their platform?
Yes, they're having fellowship with Jewish Israeli people that deal with Zionism, I believe, and things of that nature, and they're trying to usher it into, the Hebrew Israelite community or the black community.
Oh, well, that's pretty interesting, because currently in the news right now, when it comes to those wars and various things is happening, you got the Jews sending America into Muslim territory And then you got Russia backing them up, backing America up out of the area. And when you look at the underlining theme of it, what you have is Judaism versus Christianity on a world scale. So it would appear that the Jews is they have something to do with the level of conversation that's going on in America, like just on the street with these various groups and the ideologies they pushing. I mean, anything going against Christianity in the form of Judaism or belief in the Old Testament, that go hand in hand.
Yeah,
so,
I would say so.
Yeah, it seems likely that they would look to some more stuff like this. I mean, it definitely doesn't go with the New Testament. So you could see, I guess they want a play in going to Israel.
Yeah, well, it's due to the fact that you have people that similar to what I brought out the other day, Israelite nationalists that somewhat is in the land already, and then you have them trying to deal with the diaspora or the worldwide remnant of Israel that's scattered throughout the world, and trying to bring them together to to occupy the land once again. We know that this is something that will bring about civil war and stuff, because a lot of people don't know right now in the land of Israel you have a black and white issue, and racism is thick over there in the land. You just don't hear about it that much because the Jews own the news networks and things of that nature. So they're not going to let that information just, flood the American news like that. You see where on Facebook in the media takeout or whatever, where they showed, the soldier shot the boy and he was bent over and he was bleeding and they was talking bad about him and stuff. So you get a glimpse of what's going on over there, but they'll never show you the full pictures like the Vietnam War. When they start showing all those pictures, people's like, that's what's going on over there? Yeah, this war needs to stop. So we got another caller here, 773, your mic's open.
Yo, peace, what's happening? It's been real, Ben Kael.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. How's everybody doing? I wanted to first come in with some clarity, though, because this bothers me every time I hear it from having actually lived over there. People got to get an understanding. When you talk about Jews, you making a real gross generality. And when you say Zionism, you making a gross generality. There's different types of Jews. They got different kind of political positions. And when we talk about, the stranger or even people who are actually of that gene pool, you have to realize that the big hook-nosed German Jews, the Ashkenazi, are the minority over there in Israel. And how it's been since 1967 is, they've been in those key positions of power, but a lot of their children are not maintaining their legacy, so slowly but surely they're falling out of power, which is at the root of a lot of the unrest in the area. They not really going out of power without a fuss. And when you deal with what really the idea of Zionism is in purity prophetically, not political Zionism, Theodore Herzl, but when you deal with it prophetically, that's the essence of Hebrew nationalism. That's the essence of what Marcus Garvey was talking about. What Rabbi Ford was putting in his ear. Anyway, though, and on that wise, dealing with the whole Kabbalah piece, personally, in my opinion, from what I've seen, I'm highly skeptical of it. It's a big connection to that, with theosophy. There's just questions that need to be answered, and it seemed like a whole Hollywood treatment is being put on everything that, like, I don't know, like, we not really dealing with this subject matter and things coming across the table like they really mean people's lives. You see what I'm saying? What I mean by that is, like, okay, if this is being presented to the people, whether it's right or wrong, are people really given an honest chance to understand what it is, where it come from, before they be impressed with a 15, 20-minute video of somebody talking fancy and they accept this idea as being valid?
Right.
You
That's why
what I'm saying?
I'm doing this and allowing people that more knowledgeable about the matter than me to speak. That's why you hear me being quiet now, and I appreciate you calling in. And if you can, keep on with the keep on.
Yeah, and as far as Talmud, like I'm saying, it really requires the same thing that House of Consciousness will not do, and it just shows people's hearts. There can be a controlled environment where things are laid out on the table. Ain't nobody allowed to get emotional and disrupt the whole thing, but, I mean, serious questions be asked. Like, let me give y'all some of the stuff out of the Talmud. Like, I want to just ask somebody straight out without them, like, talking out the side of their neck. How can you follow something that say, okay, Ketim 69a, to heal his flesh, a Jew should take dust that lies within the shadow of an outdoor toilet, mix it with honey, and eat it. In the Shabbat 41a scroll, the law regarding the rule for how to urinate in a holy way is given. Yevamot 63:8 states that Adam had sexual intercourse with all the animals in the Garden of Eden. Haggai 27:8 states that no rabbi can ever go to hell. Avodah Zarah 17:8 states that there is not a whore in the world that Rabbi Eliezer has not had sex with. And it goes on. They even have portions in there of how to correctly, what's the word for it? Etiquette during ritual of sacrificing children to Moloch. And for people who don't know what this is, they had these huge bull statues, and they was like furnaces. They put coal fire inside of it and stoke up this fire, and the bull would be sitting down with his arms out. And so when they say passing the children to the fire, they would be putting the baby in the arms of this bronze statue that's been heating up for hours from inside and burn the child alive. Of course, this is after they were ritually abused, which is justified in a lot of the sections of the Talmud. And it's like, hold up, wait. Like you said, you got all these young people that are caught up in the romance of it, the sexiness of it, but you know, what is really the need for all of it? I've studied it, and I think some of it breaks down some mechanics, just some knowledge. You see what I'm saying? But what people don't understand is they're not looking at prophecy, that in these days knowledge is going to cover the earth like knowledge cover the sea. And many people going to wake up. And everybody like, I'm conscious, I'm woke. That don't mean nothing, because the continuation of that thought is some going to wake to everlasting life and some going to wake to everlasting shame and contempt. And you have to be real careful, because from what I understand, a lot of the Kabbalah, what they understand, modern-day Kabbalah, comes from Eliphaz Levi, big-time Satanist. From Blavatsky, her works in question. And that these individuals were using automatic writing, meaning they were channeling the spirit. This is expressly prohibited in the Torah, in the law. You know, like there's a basic bottom line that is being talked around, is being danced around. There's just some basic things in the law, in the principles, whether you look at Old Testament or New Testament, that just stand and kind of knock all this crap out of the box. But people don't know, because unfortunately everybody is not in it for the same thing. This is a form of entertainment for people, man. and they playing with these energies and these spirits. This is what I believe, and I can't prove it. This is what I believe threw Solomon off. Because as a legend go within these Kabbalistic circles, okay, as justification for what they're doing, they say that Solomon had summoned and basically enslaved like 72 demons to build the temple. But then we see on down the line what actually happened to Solomon. Basically, he was the beginning of the end for the unified kingdom of Israel, and after him it broke off into the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel, the northern and southern kingdoms. Like, are we really looking at this history? Or is people just doing something, saying something, playing with people's lives and not really ready for the responsibility and the amount of knowledge, wisdom, and just experience that it takes to tell somebody this is okay or this ain't okay? Like, I've dealt in these circles, you know, I'm just so blessed to been have pulled out of it, but these demons and energies is real.
Oh,
and they getting on people. You have to ask yourself, why in the hell would they keep this secret all these hundreds of years, and then they gonna give your black butt all these secrets for $6.95 off of Amazon? It don't work like that, Joe. They sending you off. Is what I think. Why would they just give it away now? You see?
Would you say also that these type of systems, knowledge, that if you feel like you really want the knowledge and stuff, you got to go through the initiative program and go? Because I spoke to a brother that dealt with the Talmud and Kabbalah, even here on this show about 3 years back, and he was saying, you know, he was a black guy too. He said, well, he had to go to the Jewish temple and he had to do certain things, even let him in there and start dealing with.
I mean, it depends on what school of Kabbalah that they dealing with. You know, my thing is like I'm saying, some of that stuff be accurate in a way because, okay, here's the bottom line on my belief. When you look at systems like that, like astrology, numerology, all these different occult systems, and people will read something out of them and be like, they true. You'll see a reflection of it because it's all a description of the programming language of the satanic world. You see what I'm saying? Of the Matrix, basically.
This like Saul, right, when he went to the woman and he perceived that it was, what's his name?
Samuel. Yeah, she really got a hold to him, but he wasn't supposed to do that.
Yeah, and then, you know, people fail to realize that's the reason he really died. That's the reason his life was really taken. He already had the bad spirits coming up on him. David had to play the harp and get him off him and this and that. But when he looked at that peeper or that woman dealing with that necromancer, and I don't think it was necromancer, but whatever it was, that challenge that she was doing, whatever that demon stuff is, I don't study it, so I don't know. But that's what got him knocked off. As you say, with Solomon, I can't prove that either, but I believe from all the little studies and, you know, hearsay stuff that I deal with, that, Solomon started messing with stuff he had no business. And he did it because he had those many wives, and he dipped and dabbled in, you know, their gods and stuff, seeing that he was making these statues and stuff unto him. He had to know about it, get his builders and stuff to do what they had to do to make these statues and stuff, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, the bottom line, I hate to sound like a broken record because I always bring it back to this, but at the end of the day, this stuff is a distraction from the things that are really make us powerful. Man, like, all these things there's a passage in Deuteronomy where the Creator talking to Moses, dictating this law to him, telling them, to the children of Israel, like, yo, If somebody say go off into the sea, there go the word. You know what I'm saying? If somebody say go off in the sky, if somebody dig a hole deep in the earth, here go the word. Don't believe them because it's near unto you. It's in your heart and in your mouth in order that you do them. And it's like all these fancy tricks and shortcuts. What I want to know is, how do I get back to the condition that I was in before the fall of mankind, before Adam fell, before the knowledge of good and evil? Because when you deal with that serpent, and this is one thing, y'all not Hebrew speakers, but I'm just going to break it down so you understand just for context, right? That when you deal with Nakish, what the serpent really is, it ain't no snake. But the roots to that word mean like an enchanter, a sorcerer, like a magician. This was a dude that was teaching that stuff. But you see, right before that point, that what made man alive, what give us life, is the spirit of the Most Holy. And if we in that image, then that's as close as you gonna get to God's on earth. But then you got this dude saying, come take these shortcuts. You see what I'm saying? And you could be like guys. There go the big trick. Let's
go to the text a little bit to try to help the people try to find a little bit from the text, because that's exactly what the book say. When you pick it up in Genesis 3 and pick it up at 4, it said, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, which was a lie. For God does know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye as gods, knowing good and evil. And this is what, was the temptation, which is also true. So as the brothers say, books and doing stuff, you get a little truth, but then you get a big lie. And the lie going to kill you. The truth going to just hook you in and bring you in, because as Jesus said, we all fishermen, or we all, planting seeds and stuff. And, I'm going to leave them parables. Let's just go to this. 6 is what he talking about now. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food and pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons, right? And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God amongst the trees of the garden. And the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. Here go another key scripture. And he said, who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou should not eat? But that tree, based up on God's question, the voice of God question, right? It spoke. It told them they was naked. So now you could go to the mysticism and this and that and try to understand that right there. But if you really look at the book and study what's going on, you can find what the fruit is in Hosea. There's such thing as a fruit of lies, right? You can find out that the serpent in the tree, for my studies, is one and the same. It's Satan. So, you can do that without this Kabbalah, the Talmud. You just read the scriptures. But you got to, once again, this book is sealed to the learned and the unlearned. Anybody that deals with the Old Testament at all should understand that and read it by now. And if you ain't got the spirit, as he talked about, that activated us in the beginning, and as you see Jesus, when you get in the New Testament, he said he breathed on the disciples and they received the Holy Spirit through that breath, the same breath that he, quote unquote, breathed in us. Then, but you got to study it, people. But you don't need these books here to understand this. hopefully, that's just a little breakdown. I wanted to show y'all something in the book and let y'all know that this stuff is talked about just in the KJV itself. But with that said, I decrease and let the brother increase.
Yeah, I mean, and basically, like, what I want to convey is, like, I have no problem with the general concept of mysticism and miracles and things happening outside of, like, what you would call regular reality with the power of the Creator, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I don't believe that shortcuts are needed. It's kind of like, I think what mankind did was, and what we dealing with this stuff is, like, if you can imagine, you get a job at, like, the biggest company in the world, you know what I'm saying? And your first day at the job, the CEO himself was like, man, come into my office. And he just gives you this big old book of, like, all his secrets, from the beginning of his company up until then. And he say, I'm taking you under my wing, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to make you just like me. And then you go back out into the office building and you dealing with all the clowns in there, like, trying to tell you how to steal a stapler or how to embezzle money from the company. Now, the CEO sitting observing that, like, what would he think, How would you keep your job? You know what I'm saying? It's like we already got the inside track. And the key to activating that stuff, I believe, is the behavior, is what I wanted to go back to. Like, you can meditate and get into, like, a state of ecstasy from saying a word, a vain repetition over and over again. Like, that will actually work, but it's a cost to it. The cost is whatever name you were saying, that spirit going to be attached on you. Or you could really just engage your life with sincerity. You can really love your children, love your neighbor as yourself. And you get the same effects. It opens you up to where the blessings come your way, because the bottom line of, like, the mysticism that man uses is to manipulate their environment, which go back to, like, the main thing that people don't understand about Crowley when he say the greatest of the law is do as thy will. That means execute your will, not the Creator's will, and do it by any means possible. That these people don't necessarily, a lot of them people that have taught this stuff don't necessarily worship them demons per se, but they try to teach you how to manipulate them. But they don't tell you that they charge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They charge.
And I speak on that plenty of times, that, and I even talked about it with a couple brothers today, that I believe you can huff and puff or take a drug or whatever and go into that spiritual realm. You might not want to deal with what's over there once you get there, though. This is where you see people popping mollies today. Popping mollies will take you into the spiritual realm.
Wow.
You pop mollies when you watch videos and stuff. You know what I'm saying? But these are the same elements that plays on trying to take that shortcut that the brother's talking about. And it ain't no shortcut, people. It's called discipline. You know what I'm saying? It's called discipline. If you want to get there, you got to show forth discipline, and you got to, do the things, as he say, to activate those things that you really want. And you reap what you sow. What you put out into the world comes back. Believe that. I'm a firm believer of it. Like, when I get to acting crazy, I know why people act crazy with me, because I put that energy out there most of the time. But see, when I'm around good brothers and sisters, I don't have to put that energy out there. So the thing I find out to keep me is to stay away from the crowds of people that are lunatics. Get amongst the people, if it ain't number one or two, I can galvanize with and talk with, and they don't bring them evil spirits amongst me. And then I don't have to address them evil spirits. So You don't need no book of mysticism or even the Bible to tell you that if you just tap into the spirit that's within you. You know what I'm saying? Because you have the knowledge of good and evil. The thing is, can you discern now? Can you really look at what's going on? You see this with Moses. Moses had the same abilities that the magicians and stuff of Pharaoh had. He was tapped into God and not tapped into that which they was tapped into. They was tapped in through another way. They was pipelining the spirit from one way, and Moses was channeling the spirit out himself.
Right.
So
exactly. I don't know, man. Yeah, so like Unifying and all these things are in the air, and people, I just think it's stupid, and it's not gonna work on that basis. And this is from being on the inside looking out. I've been in on a couple of these conversations, and it's basically a waste of time without focusing on the good old-fashioned parts of the scriptures that can't be disagreed with. I don't care if you Old Testament or New Testament. It's Yeshua, Jesus, whatever you want to say, talking about the same laws. You know what I'm saying? Love God with all your heart, soul, and might. Love your neighbor like yourself. Everybody doing all this different stuff out of ego, but that should be the conversation of unity. There's so many practical things that covers, like our communities being messed up, our families being messed up, you know what I'm saying, our male and female relationships being messed up. If we just took a year, everybody sit down, we're going to put all of our little doctrinal differences aside, all of our little things we do that make us this unique character so people can buy our books and listen to our speeches. Nah, skip all that. Everybody focus on loving God with all your heart, soul, and might, and loving each other like yourself. And then talk to me about some unity. Till it get to back to the basics, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work.
Yeah, because and that's what people get mad at me and be like, oh, you just a hater. But I'm like, you know, I got some of these brothers on my Facebook page. I got some of them that I had their numbers or got their numbers. They probably, you know, but these same brothers really don't reach out a hand. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's conversations going towards the right way, but like I said, it all got to be vetted out, and in the end, people like in it for the ego thing got to sit aside. It is some brothers, but they not as visible as everybody else. But you know what I'm saying? It's some brothers that are talking about in basic land.
Yeah, I've been around some of them conversations too, and yeah, people in the public just ain't privy to that. Some of them conversations, but I'm saying for the ones that's out in the public eye and public figures and stuff, that if you was truly trying to build and reach your hand out, you know, where's the hand over here? Where's the hand with this brother? Where's the hand that, you know, sending letters out to getting the addresses and sending letters out to all the congregations in the country, whether they part of your congregation or not. But see, what I see is a certain faction of brothers, basically from the Hebrew war machine, that group that came together. They're trying to dominate things for them to be the leaders, the forefront of this so-called movement that's going on now and things of that nature. And I ain't got no problem with that, even if you're going to do that, you got to be a proper leader. You got to speak up against atrocity, against things that's going on. And for the Messianics that's a part of that and the non-Messianics, just to use those terms, Old Testament, New Testament brothers that, you know, deal with that stuff, you got to make sure the Old Testament brothers is not doing atrocities to people that do believe in the Messiah. And the Old Testament brothers got to make sure that the New Testament brothers not doing atrocity to those in the Old Testament. You got to protect the people because you the leader. If you're going to be a shepherd like the brother read yesterday, the same brother, then you got to be a proper shepherd. Oh, somebody make some noise. Somebody make some noise.
Show me.
So you got to be a proper shepherd. And if you're not doing that, then we need to find a one shepherd, because he ain't came there from some people's perspective. And then for those that know he ain't came, you got to get up on him and follow his leadership. We gotta do something.
Right.
This unity just to be unified because we all the same thing, we can't do that. If that's the case, then let's all just use the title black and then unify up under that byword and show solidarity and everything, just in that, and loving each other and everything. With just being black people. We don't have to religious document or whatever on the table, unified those type of friends. You got the mic again if you want it, bro. I know you talking too. Let me know if you need to.
Get in.
All right. Yeah.
Ben.
That wasn't me. That was the other brother. I think he in the background.
Oh.
So
you can come in if you want to. You know.
I mean, yeah, that about sums it up, man. Like I was saying yesterday, it's not just about unity. Like there's separation before it's unity, and it's interesting because I just did a paper about this, but now I'm just now making this connection. I'm in school, right? And for my communication class, I had to do a project on how communication suffers over social media, like Facebook, YouTube, over the internet, period. And it was showing how people in real life build friendships with other people based on trust and honesty were at the top of the list, right? But on the internet, you make friends more likely based off of you had the same interest and if the person make you laugh.
Right.
And so the problem that we got unique to this time right now is if that's the standard, right, but over this social media you have people like teaching spirituality, what the essence of life is, but the means by which you're trusting these people, and I could be included in these people. It ain't no respect to persons with what I'm saying, but it's not the correct way to go about it. When, like, instead of mysticism, instead of looking to these connections, man, people really have to find a way to go within themselves and look at their own experience and pick that wisdom out when the Creator been talking to them. And it's like that internal search is a start for unity, because everybody that be on that path, or they looking at themselves, they not trying to, this is the common thing, right? Everybody want to expose something or debunk something, but no one exposes themselves. No one debunks their own bad beliefs. But then we taught to confess our sins to one another, but you can't do that if you wrapped up in a power struggle, because your opponent will see that as weakness and knock you out of power.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's why I try to make myself very transparent. Look, I got a problem reading. Look, I got a problem speaking. I got a problem spelling. I got a problem with grammar. School was bad for me. You know what I'm saying? But that don't stop me from wanting to be the better me that I can be. You know, it don't stop me from, okay, I learned how to read a little bit. The more I read, the better I get. Some people got a 20-year jump on me. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. Yep. Your skill level is better. But that don't stop, and that's how I do it. I'm just transparent, and I'm like, if I can do it, you can do it. And I know if the Lord been speaking and dealing with me through these years, he's been speaking and dealing with you. I had a praying mother and so on and so forth. I know you got one too. A grandmother or somebody. And so therefore, we can make it. As Jada Kiss was, we can make it. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people don't get that from people because, as you say, they just, they got to play smart. And this is where people cover up their insecurities by learning something that the average person don't know so they can pull it out and sound more intelligent or so on and so forth. Not to help the people, but to say, I'm better than you.
Right.
And that's some of the downfalls in the community.
Be foolish. But be straight up foolish because they can't tell you why their life has played out, why it has played out. They can tell you about the sun, moon, and stars and their rotation, can number the stars in the sky, but can't tell you why there's been suffering in their life. Like, they can't even go back to the origin of it, which would be themselves, their choices, missing the mark, sin.
Right, so I don't want to get a headache. It make me think too much. I be trying to go back on old stuff that I done dealt. Tell y'all I forget stuff. But you got esoteric and exoteric, right?
Right.
And so exo is external and eso is internal, right?
Mhm.
And so a lot of people say we're looking outside ourselves in books and stuff, but we're not looking inside ourselves for the answers, So that's the esoteric and exoteric knowledge that people talk about. Just to throw that out there, people, because when you're dealing with mysticism, then that's what you have. You can go through books or you can go within yourself, but it's still looking for a higher thing that's beyond just the surface or whatever you're dealing with.
Yeah, and that's two way different things, because, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying earlier. You going to give me the secrets of the universe for $6.95 on Amazon? Come on now. It's if you look at, people say that, this is like the line that conscious people, they look down, oh, y'all sheep. You looking outside yourself. And then they're going to go get a book that some nigga done wrote 400 years ago. That's still outside of yourself. You just picking a different path, but it's still outside of yourself. Somebody is telling you how to do what you do, and they telling you what this and that means. You're trusting them with your life.
But at the same time, people fail to realize that when you're born, you're not empty, but everything that's been going on outside of the womb, you're not aware of it all. So when you when you come out of that womb, then now you start getting the external knowledge, putting it in within you, and your subconscious is even taking things in that you don't know about. So now you have to look within yourselves for the answers. When you read the Bible, the Spirit, which is the Word of God, the text itself is putting stuff in you, and your common sense and subconscious is taking in this information. When you look within yourself, you'll find the answers at times. You'll find them because they're in there. You just don't know where they are most of the time. But that's when you look at what you've been doing. Like, as I said, reading the story of Joseph, and I look at the things that I went through, and I see how those things led to me being in a position to take care of my mother in her last days. I said, well, hell, if I'd have took another route, I probably wouldn't have been here to see her take her last breath. Because wasn't nobody else here. So I said, damn it, I went through all that to be here, learn from this situation, and now I can pick up and take my steps on to my last days. You know what I'm saying? That's how I looked at it. But it was based up on understanding Joseph's story. Now I could be totally off in the North 40, crazy. But that's how I perceive it. 757, how you doing? Peace, your mic's open.
Hey, what's good, Elzo Doctor? This is Kevin G, a.k.a. Yahweh Ben Yasharallah. What's going on, man?
Peace, what up, Kevin?
Hey, not much, man. Hey, just listening in on you, man, supporting you. I don't really know, and I know the title of the show, but I don't know if you guys carried it on something else. I'm an hour late, but just here for support.
I mean, it's always going back to the foundation, and I appreciate the call and the support. But, just asking, are Israelites unifying? And when they unifying and don't know what it is, are they unifying with the Kabbalah and, what's the other one out there? The Talmud and the Kabbalah. Because it's a lot of brothers that's bringing that to the table unbeknown to the rest of the Hebrew Israelite community, which I have to throw it out there. I don't use that terminology to describe myself. I just ain't did that today, so I have to do that. But go ahead.
Now, I mean, from what we've heard in the past few days, I believe that what, I don't know if any of the listeners of you already brought this out, but the Mighty Hebrew brought out as far as the unification under that one banner, that one declaration that we find in Deuteronomy 6:4. My apologies for that. That's my GPS. But, it's all about coming under that one banner, coming under the understanding of, Hear, O Israel, our God is one God, and that the Torah is the basis of that understanding. So I'm thinking this, as far as when it comes to other groups and other ideologies and things of that nature, if you go back in history, George Washington, the first president of the United States, basically when they came and they unified, he basically said, hey, we can extend our ties to other nations and for, a financial gain, but we should really close our doors. Japan, they did the same thing when they felt that there was too many foreigners, too many ideals influencing them. Although they weren't against unification with other Asian countries, it was they closed their doors. They closed their borders, their seas. They didn't allow any boats or any foreigners to come in because they needed to strengthen what Japan was. And once they strengthened what they were, once America had an idea of who they were and identity, then the nation at that point was acclimated to be introduced, so to speak, to the rest of the world. So even if you look back at an example for in the 60s, right, when we were dealing with Martin Luther King and whatnot, I felt that black Americans at the time were making huge progress. But unfortunately, right, we were joined in with the white man looking for unity as far as schools. Oh, stop segregating schools. We should have had segregated schools. Stop segregating businesses. We should have segregated businesses because what it did was it kicked in a survival instinct within us. And at that time, we were innovators. We were inventing. We were looking to compete. And that's what countries do. That's what companies do. That's what groups do. They compete. Let me ask you. Hold on. I want to finish this one last point. I'm not saying that it's not good to unify with other groups or people. It's just that when something's in its infancy, when something is too young, you don't introduce it to say, okay, now go out there and survive. No, you mature it. You wait till it's a grown man. You wait till it has some knowledge, how it's able to distinguish what is right and what is wrong and how to get around. Then you say, okay, now mingle with the other people. Nobody puts a newborn in school. They wait until they're 5 years old. You see what I'm saying? Until they can speak and think. So with the Israelites, I'm not saying that, hey, we shouldn't associate with Moors and stuff, but yet let's go ahead and build on how to deal with ourselves, how to deal as a nation, how to strengthen ourselves up, because history teaches us this. And once we become acclimated on that point, then I say we should deal with the Moors and the Kemites and this, that, and the other when it comes to unification.
And, yeah, that was good. I'm glad I did let you finish up and you made me do so. But we weren't touching on the Moorish thing here today, but I feel you. This is the same thing that I believe if we just dealt with nationalization and dealing with paperwork type stuff and things of that nature about dealing with who we are and talking about theocracy and talking about, or becoming Israelite nationalists, you know what I'm saying, which is a title that people should hopefully gravitate to. We talking about building a nation, then that's the only reason we need to unify and sit down at the table with each other. When it comes to our different doctrines and you teaching my class or my class teaching yours, so we got to sit down and talk doctrines. If you're dealing with the Talmud and the Kabbalah, I don't want you over here talking to my people. If you're dealing just Old Testament and then you trying to tell them how Jesus is not this or this and that, I don't want you talking to my people. You know what I'm saying? Because now the doctrinal difference is going to become a problem, and we're going to have to have it out about this teaching that you spread to the community or whatever. So this is where as the conversation was saying before, this is where people with their with their smooth operation, covert operation is coming in and knocking students off and knocking people off of fundamental doctrine. You know what I'm saying? And this is hurting because as a shepherd, I can't let you amongst my flock. You know what I'm saying? So I can't unify with you. Because if I bring my flock over here, you trying to steal my flock, it's a problem. And this is what's going on. That's why I say it's been a covert mission by Nazi, and I'd have seen it. Y'all might not believe it. You could just say I'm hating, and as time goes on, you will see more and more that this brother has had a covert mission to take people out of the New Testament. And he didn't use other individuals to bring about his operations. That's why I believe, like now, I'm going to just give you an example. He's talking on In the Black video last night, right? He's saying everything I say about allowing the ranger to come in and this, that, and everything else. But when I was talking in his temple, June the 5th, that information did not get out. That information in the conversation did not make it to the world. And then I steady kick the conversation to this very day. I get attacked by people about it, this, that, and the other, but never has he risen up to my defense or Zion Lex, and they believe that way. But they talking about unifying. If you can't unify with me on that message to keep your status or whatever in the community, it's kind of like what happened when I played the brother Chris information about the Ra Squad brothers that was Masons, right? When I played that, people was like, oh, I didn't know. No one came out and said those things because they know that's taboo in the community. But when you release that information, then people start splitting, and it's like, hey, you shouldn't have did this or did that. So when I did that, people separated from me that may have believed and could join with me and even help the conversation out, but to keep side with their Israelite brothers up there in New York and not get ostracized and stuff, as they said, we still brothers, and even though we got doctrinal differences, I still love my brother. But no love was shown to me, so this is when I tell the community, oh, they full of bullshit, and people say, oh, you using foul language and stuff, but I'm like, nah, I'm telling you, I know they full of bull crap, and they only joining hands to boost their brands and their product and what they're trying to sell the community and what they're trying to take from the community, And I'm gonna stay on the war path. I'm gonna stay blowing this trumpet until it all is transparent to people that these brothers have an agenda, and the agenda is not really to unify. And if you say it is to unify, who is going to be the head of this? Nazi already done put himself in a position. He's talking about he's a counselor to the community on their relationships and stuff. This man is in people's households. You know what I'm saying? This man, I ain't even going to get into the conspiracy thing with him and everything, but, this is where I'm coming from, and this is where I'm blowing the trumpet and trying to make sure that brothers and sisters know what the Talmud is about and know what the Kabbalah is about. Do I need to do the paperwork and put it out there and say, look, now do the research and tell me, you know what I'm saying? If there's something that we need to deal with, I believe the brother Ben did a pretty good job of breaking it down. Do I go and get a PDF or find an actual book and go in there and do it myself? If I had to do that, it might take next year before it's done. Next year is but a couple months away dealing with the pagan calendar system that we got. But, it is what it is. If I had to do it, I'd do it. But it'll be for the community. It still ain't for myself, because I don't want to see people fall away from the truth by getting their ears scratched because this
Right.
dude, he was charismatic and he talked and he did all the political things he need to do to be in a position.
So let me ask you a question, if I may, Israel Doctrine. You there, bro?
I'm ask away. I hear.
All right. So let me ask you this. So I understand where you're coming from when it comes to seducing doctrines, you know what I'm saying? Timothy spoke on this, you know, and that's a very dangerous thing. But do you still think that there still should be some unification, even with those groups, such as Nazi Yeshavels, that deal with just the basis of what the Torah speaks about? Or are you saying, I don't want to hear it at all if you're not on it?
No, I mean, that's the whole thing. Even with that, look, if you somebody got echo going on. If you're not talking, please mute your thing. If you want to talk, just unmute. You know. But if you that wise and intelligent that you can go into Talmud and you can go into Kabbalah and you can go into history and you can do all this research and stuff and you so knowledgeable, how the hell you gonna tell me you can't understand Jesus or you can't understand the New Testament?
Well, that's the thing. So we got to understand. We're not see what we're getting into is, I think, in my opinion, if you allow me to, is our opinion on that person's assertion of what the scriptures are saying, right? Rather, we're talking about nation building, right? So let's think about a nation. Like, for instance, let's take, for example, this country, right? We had abolitionists in the North who didn't go for slavery. We had Southern whites who did go for slavery. We had those who said, well, we're going to do slavery because we look at it scientifically. The Negro is a lower species than we are. Some people did slavery because they thought of economical gain. They're like, well, hey, if I got 10 Negroes working in the field picking this much cotton at this rate an hour, I can make this much more money than having me and my sons do it. So you had different opinions, you had different views, you had two totally different sides, or sometimes even three different sides. Even this country today is divided in regards to political things and things of that nature.
Yeah,
but
I understand
the country.
I understand
right,
the
so, right. So my thing is, the country, though, however, is still under that banner. You know, United States of America. Some people in New Jersey may not like people from New York, or, you know what I mean? But
I understand the vision again, but I'm not going under no Hebrew Israelite banner. If you say Nation of Israel and put a Y in front of it, I'd probably even roll with that, even though it got the Y in front, and I just take it as Israel because I deal with English. But I know people trying to deal with Hebrew or Yiddish or whatever. So on that grounds, Nation of Israel, cool. But when you start throwing Hebrew Israelite this and that, know that when you take this documentation and stuff, that you really don't have an argument due to historical aspects or whatever. You can go in there and all day try to explain to people that the Israelite come from the Hebrew, and you know some people say Hebrew language, Israelite nationality, and we don't even got to go through that if we don't go all the way back to Hebrew. If we just pick it up at Israelite and say we the nation of Israel, then we could get the Bible as well as historical evidence and make our argument for our nationalization. That's
right, but even with an argument, like it said, for example, you made the difference between the I and the Y. Like, don't you think that a detail such as that pales in comparison to nation building? I mean, I just put a little bit on the table. My whole thing was I'm not going up under no Hebrew Israelite banner because I don't see that as a national banner. We was the nation of Israel. Show me in the Torah where it says in Hebrew Israelite. And then you won the argument. All I can say is, damn, I didn't know. I'm rolling with it now. But if you can't do that, then don't bring that argument to me, because you would not win me over to it. So I got you. I got you, brother. But the thing about it is that, like, let's say if it does say that or if it doesn't, I really don't see that. We have enough common sense, and you're smart as well. We have enough common sense to know who we are, regardless of what you say we are called in the Bible.
Let's go with the simplicity. Let's go with the
Right.
simplicity thing, because what's going to happen is this. When you try to go to nations, especially even the United States of America, they done already took that term and that name, Hebrew Israelite, and made it a terrorist. Okay. So now you're going to say, we going to become a nation separate from you, and you still want to be in the borders of America, and they calling you terrorists? You most definitely going to be a homeland security problem now. So it's just not even wise to do this in that type of manner. And anyone that's coming to the table has to sit down and listen to that perspective too, because that is a valid perspective.
It is. I take your point, and your point is valid. I understand that.
Say something whenever y'all get a chance.
What's that now?
You say you wanted to say something.
Oh yeah, of course. This is your show, man.
Oh, go ahead. I'll finish. I'll say something whenever you finish.
I'm not. I mean, I take Israel Doctrine's point very well. Like
yeah,
I would agree
with
it.
We having an open conversation right now.
Right.
So if you want to speak. If the point that needs to be talked about is right here, because we might be on something else in the next minute.
Right. So my thing is, my bad, bro. My bad. My apologies. Go on.
Okay. Well, pretty much what I wanted to add to it was, I mean, and even because I've been sitting back listening a lot because I'm trying to, get a lot of the terms, with the thing, the talk, some type of mysticism stuff. I got mysticism, but the other stuff I really don't necessarily understand that lingo. But I mean, pretty much from everything that I've heard, the basis of it is, through it all, the Lord, when He brought us about, He didn't bring us about to establish a people of a nation to bring so we could, be like, all right, I'm a nation of whatever. It was a nation to actually bring about change and the effect thereof by obedience. It wasn't about us like showing ourselves to say, oh, be proud of our nationality. So that's why I don't understand whether it be Hebrew Israelite or any of these other different terms.
No, we're the nation of Israel regardless. Whether we're in captivity, whether if he done broke us into what people would call the northern and southern kingdom and this, we're the nation of Israel regardless. So acknowledging that is just as simple as doing that. And everybody that do that, they can go on a database if they want to and say, I'm a part of the nation of Israel. I'm a part of the nation of Israel. And with those numbers alone, yes, it gives you a political platform now where you can talk and you can communicate with all the people in the nation of Israel, and you can have a political agenda like the Hispanics, like the other nations of people that dwell in the world. That's the simplicity of it.
And that's what I'm speaking to, the simplicity of it, because that's where a lot of us seem like we get caught up when it comes to different names, whether it be Hebrew Israelite or what have you, or even the Judaism and all this other stuff and speaking Hebrew.
Like I said, that's irregardless. That's irregardless. We the nation of Israel, and if we want to proclaim that, then we're nationalizing ourselves. And that's the simplicity in which we should come together on. When people start trying to bring other things to the table, then it becomes a situation where divisions come along. But if everyone can agree that Deuteronomy 28 fits them or fit us, then that's the grounds in which we just state that we Israel on.
Right. Some type of wide discussion should be held in regards to the common basics that we come together on. And I think that, and a lot of people that are listening to this, or if you please look up or get in touch with the Mighty Hebrew, I believe his documents are sound, because it's not favoring to a particular group.
Yeah, I've seen. Hold up, though, Kevin. I seen this documentation. You seen his documentation. If you say get in touch with the Mighty Hebrew, anybody that hears that will do that. But at the same time, you know, I done tried to get his phone number from a party, this, that, and the other. It seems as if people don't want the Mighty Hebrew talking to me or over here and this and that, so I'm not trying to promote what's going on with the Mighty Hebrew like that. Maybe he'll hear people talk about this show and say, man, the brother say he been trying to get in touch with you, but he can't get your number or whatever. So I'm not trying to actually point people to the Mighty Hebrew right now, because I can validate him or not validate him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, as far as it's not about validation or promoting anybody in my eyes.
Well, I'm
thinking like this.
What the Mighty Hebrew put on the table, it seemed to be pretty good. I ain't checked it all the way out. Right. If somebody want to check him out, get in touch with the Mighty Hebrew. But outside of that, I'm like, let's cool on the Mighty Hebrew. That's all.
See, I don't know where that angle coming from, but I mean, I'm confused by that. But all I was simply trying to do is, the information's out there, right?
Right, but see, hold up, let me make sure you understand where I'm coming from, because I put it out there to a degree too, right? What Nasi Yashavel is talking about is unification. What Mighty Hebrew is talking about is nationalizing, right? Nasi Yashavel saying we need to unify and come together for what? He's not really saying. But if he's supposed to be in collaboration with the Mighty Hebrew, then the Mighty Hebrew needs to tell him, you need to start saying nationalization, because all this come together and we got different doctrinal this, that, and the other. No one is understanding that. No one is understanding. If y'all deal with the Talmud and y'all deal with the Kabbalah and you don't deal with the New Testament, so on and so forth, then why should we unite with you or unify with you? Well, we Israel.
Are you there, bro?
Yeah, I was sounding, so I was cutting the feed or whatever. But and that's all I'm saying is that yes, what's going on is unification and nationalization. Nasi Yashavel and the Mighty Hebrew, right? Those are the two players out there. What the Mighty Hebrew was talking about sounded good to me. What Nasi's talking about don't sound that good to me. But what Nasi's talking about might be the program that Mighty Hebrew talking about, but he might be trying to steal it. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. So with the mixed conversations and people not sitting down really trying to nationalize the situation, then that's where you get this division, unification or nationalization. And the people don't know this because they're not in the circle and they're not getting a chance to do it. So as the brother was broadcasting the Mighty Hebrew and stuff, I would like to talk to the brother personally about the stuff a little bit more. And I wouldn't mind having him over here and asking him about the unification or the nationalization. And if people just talking unification, then on what grounds and stuff. I would like to talk to Nasi. But this is why I say when people try to backbone and really don't want to talk with me and talk about some real issues. Because if you was really trying to do this, listen, if you was really trying to do this, then your ass would be over here sitting down every now and then talking about it on this platform, because there's some ears over here that's not elsewhere.
Let me.
When it comes to platform and stuff, that's understandable. But what I'm saying is that's exactly what I'm saying, Israel Doctrine. These are the type of discussions that should be had. We shouldn't. There should be these discussions. It shouldn't be a debate platform. It should be more of a discussion based on our declaration, our Constitution, which is the Torah. It should be based upon that and that alone. And I'm saying that we should have these discussions, come together and talk about these different things among us. But about platforms and promotion, and I'm just like, whatever allows the people to get the information. And as long as they get the information, they look at it, then they can make an informed decision. That's what transparency in government is all about. It's about making informed decisions. If you're right, if he's not on a platform and these different platforms and this platform, then it's not being transparent enough, and it makes it more like a coup, like something that's being developed in the background.
A covert operation.
Right, a covert operation, absolutely. So if it's something that's going to be for the people, then it should be a discussion that should be had in transparent avenues. It should be had on every platform so that people can make an informed decision on what this should, how this should come together.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what I wanted to throw in there is, I think, and I don't know, I'm slightly out of the loop by about a week, but like I've been in those exact conversations with the mighty Hebrew, and Nasi Yashavel wasn't present, although I know he was being communicated with, so I'm not sure if there has even been like a meeting of the minds to where both of them is saying we on the exact same platform. But I think what the brother just said there, and I think it's the same brother that talked about closing them doors, that's the bottom line on a couple of levels, like to have these conversations, but we need mature men without respect to persons or doctrines to kind of like moderate these whole things and fact check, because that's just the bottom line. It is like vetting out, basically, if we're going to talk about solving the differences between doctrines, everybody needs to know where they come from and why whatever teacher made the interpretation that they made. You could go back and forth all day about saying, well, I think Kabbalah good, I think Kabbalah bad. But if we laid it all out, you know what I'm saying, facts don't lie. And then an informed decision, like he said, can be made from that point. But the conversations that I've been in on that deal with unification don't even really touch those aspects, and that had come up like, well, how can we all work together? We were dealing with the more physical aspects of nation building, you know, and then somebody's like, well, how can we do all that when it's all these different doctrines, you know? It need to be taken from the root. And I seen a real cool little group, one of the better Hebrew Israelite groups, the New Covenant, something like that, where the sister was laying out chunks of the law, how they apply to different sectors of life, and they were like simplified. I think building from that point, having that understanding, and then like vetting out, you know, where all these different things come from without somebody trying to push a personal agenda. Like, now, I usually don't put myself out there to volunteer for stuff, but that definitely be something that I would do because I have that knowledge base, you know, beyond the average person. And I've seen a lot of this stuff play out, you know what I mean? Like past people saying this is that knowledge-wise, but people trying to experience it and it don't go the way that they think it's going to go.
So one thing that I would like to suggest, and then ain't nobody got to pay me for it, but it's simple, right? You need to get a vocational list of things that people can do or willing to do or want to learn, and once we get these vocational things down, then you can know where everybody fit within the national database once again.
The construct, right.
Yeah,
and another thing I would suggest along with that is not only finding these people who have the skill set and seeing where they will fit in this whole thing, but also coming out with a form or a process in order to facilitate how we're going to go about it. For instance, you made a good point. You brought up Kabbalah, right? So the topic is nationhood. So what we need to do is look at each of these items and say, okay, discussing Kabbalah is fine, but are there things within the teaching of Kabbalah, or just talking about Kabbalah in general, not really getting into what it stands for and what it's all about, that counters or kind of conflicts with nation building? You know what I'm saying? So Kabbalah shouldn't be on the table.
Right. That's the thing.
Right. Those types of things shouldn't be on the table. Even the fact, should we eat meat or not eat meat? Those shouldn't be on the table. Does one person believe in Christ and not believe in Christ? Those things should not be on the table. The first item should be nationality. So if we're on nation building, the only things that should be discussed are those things concerning nation building, and that's it. Once we establish nation building, then the second item would be doctrinal beliefs, or the core of that. So then we focus on what are the core.
What we need within the nation to build a constitution off of. If people say the Torah is the Constitution, then we need those things where you can't be stealing, you can't commit adultery, then you deal with the polygamy thing. You know, really inform the women. If can you share your man? If you can't share your man, don't be trying to get a man that want to share you. I mean, share himself with other women and stuff and different things. And dealing with the fact that if you do come together, that you need a construct there. You need a covenant that says when we get married, you can't come down the road next week and talk about the law say I can have another woman, so therefore I done went into Susie Jane over here and now I got another wife and stuff.
Right.
So we really got to deal with that. When you're dealing with that, you're dealing with the nation. You're dealing with the things that is conducive for the people to be joined together, unified. You know what I'm saying? And then you make other things, as even when the disciples came together, certain things you just don't discuss. We're not going to discuss that. You know what I'm saying? And when you do that, then you're working. You're working with something. Now you're building a nation. But if you don't know how to build a nation, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It takes focus, man. Like, it ain't just the laws neither. I rarely hear this brought up, but this is something I want to put on the table for what we talking about. It ain't just, they call it ethics. You know what I'm saying? The study of ethics. Like, basically, before they make laws in a man-made society, ethicists sit and they look at an issue, what they call a moral situation, where a choice could be made that's right or wrong. The ethicists sit and say, this is right or this is wrong, which provides the reason for why the law is written. Like, if you take a choice, somebody make you mad and you make the choice to go cut their head off, the ethicists say, well, it was wrong that this person talked about your granddaddy or whatever that made you mad, but it's wronger that you went and harmed their physical body. When we look at Scripture, a lot of times, because we get that with a lot of people that say, well, I'm Torah-centered. This is inaccurate, because if you want to go Hebrew like that, then you have to say you're Tanakh-centered. You know what I'm saying? Torah is just the first 5 books. You got the prophecies, and then you got the writings. And I think a lot of times when we deal with the law in our Constitution, we have to look at prophecy for certain amendments, such as like sacrifices involving blood. What is required, what is preferred over these sacrifices, dealing with the widow, feeding people. And then when you deal with just the pure ethics, you have to deal with the wisdom books, where it talk about certain conditions that actually lead to iniquity, and talk about real life frameworks of how we deal together. Because
the 6 things that the Lord hates, that's most definitely the first thing you put on the table, because that's loving your neighbor and your brother.
Yeah. And you know, only by putting that basic stuff on the table like that are you even going to be able to be at the starting line. Because like I said, referencing back, my experience of being in a movement where it's all encompassing, like you got your own actual communities, and so you don't go home, you don't have these shadows to hide in, per se. Like, you really don't know a person till you live with them and you work with them. Like, all this going through all these extra hoops and side conversations really when dealing with unification and not dealing with the basics like we talking about just extends the amount of time till you around somebody and you got to live with them and work with them. And that's where spirituality really come out in practice, is how somebody deal with that work, how somebody deal with it when it look like the odds ain't going to go in their favor. Is you still hopping up and down screaming hallelujah, or are you submitting to something else? And this is real life. I've seen a lot of people talk fancy since 98. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes down to that elbow grease and keeping your spirit up, because the biggest lesson I got from all that is I had charted myself. I had fell off for a number of years, and I had charted myself what had happened. Well, it was when I was doing this nation-building work, I started giving ear to people with bad character that was like, man, forget this. They putting us to work here, and they doing that, and this, that, and the other. And what it did was me absorbing that. It took the joy away from me trying to serve Yah, from me trying to serve the Creator. It took the joy out of it. And that's what all these layers of crap do. We supposed to delight in Yah's law. Why don't nobody talk about that, yo? Where is the delight? Where is the joy? You feel what I'm saying? Where is that refreshing quality talked about in the first song where it say, you know what I'm saying, you meditate on this law day and night. It's like a tree by rivers of water. You just steady getting hydrated all day.
That's why I just went to the term unite in the Bible, right? It's only in there 3 times. And it's a unity, right? Not unite, but unity. And the one scripture is the Psalms 133 and 11 or whatever. And it said how beautiful it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. How is it going to do that? Where's the other scriptures to go with that? Because that's the only way you're going to find unity yet in the Old Testament. What is the precepts? Where is the law? Where is the this and that tells us this? And if you're going to preach unity, then you need to do lessons and show unity and uniting in the Bible. You seen what Abraham and Lot had to split up because they had too much substance. Man, you got too much, I got too much, your cattle running my cattle. You go over there and I'm going to go over here. It's just too much to not, really deal with it. And like I said, I call myself Israelite. I don't say Hebrew Israelite and stuff, but everybody know because they're alive. They say they don't know. They done been over here on this show, and I opened up the show and just let them give an interview, and I didn't say nothing. I just asked questions, let people ask questions. I didn't get into no doctrinal rifts, doctrinal beef, saying, man, what you talking about? The only time, like when Nazi did come over here, they were talking about Kabbalah, Talmud, whichever one, and they were talking about you could sleep with babies and this and that. And I was like, look, man, I ain't trying to have that conversation on this show. You know what I'm saying? That's the only
they was being justified? What was the context for that?
I can't remember exactly what it was. It's the Nazi Yashavel show on the Huddle 3. And I was just like, I don't even, you know what I'm saying? I don't even talk about it around me. You know what I'm saying? Because if a book or something speaking on to that degree, I don't want to have nothing to do with that book. You can't. Right. This is what polite.
But the conversation need to be had. Why would somebody see that and follow it? Like that needs to be explained. Like that's accountability. I want that explained to me plainly. Why then would somebody follow that? If that's stuff, I've seen the same stuff.
Right, and that's why I was just going to say, this is what Polite said, and he questioning GMS, and he like, well, if the Bible said we can rape 12-year-olds, so on and so on, so now why are we following the Bible? You see what I'm saying? I'm that way about the book. You say the book do what? It said even suggest or a hint. Oh, no, can't follow that. You know what I'm saying?
Nope. Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
I don't know, the conversation, if you deal with that, then, and you're not letting people privy to this system, then you shouldn't bring it out in the public unless you're willing to sit down and take public scrutiny on that book. You do
bring that up. I've seen different things on YouTube with the different guys that talked about that subject and all.
You was on that show that day when your brother Phil.
All around the concept, to me, when I look at unification, I look at just when it comes to the obedience thing. It just all goes back to that. Like you just gave an example about Lot and Abraham. I think we really, and this was what a lot of people try to do, and they don't have really the understanding that when Christ come back, he's going to unify. I think we kind of get mixed up in nationality versus obedience. And that's why we always trying to look for this one to unify on this platform or that platform, on this subject or that subject. But we just take all of what the structure was about in the beginning from Adam and Eve when it came to obedience. And if we can't unify there, we got to pick a doctrine. We got to see what that doctrine calls. Well, if we can't unify around that obedience unto Christ, and there's not going to be no unity, because the unity doesn't come truly until he come back and get us all on one accord.
I just had to delete a brother today off my friend list and block him. Well, basically block him and delete him when I did that, because he want to argue the two sticks in the nation coming back together and saying, well, it got to come back together on the spirit of Christ. And I'm like, oh, that sounds good, but where are you getting that from? I said, we see right here in Ezekiel 37, he said he going to put the two sticks back together. He going to do this. He going to put one shepherd over him. He going to have one king over him. He going to do this. Now, where is spirit at in here? I don't read spirit, so you got to get me somewhere else to justify you saying what you said. But he want to be intelligent in this and that, never using the scripture, and just want to argue in the public. Once again, now you just trying to show people up. This is where the problem comes in. You know, because you didn't engage in spiritual combat, and you don't want to look bad in front of the people, so now you want to, ridicule and talk crazy. I don't have time for that with the people. Because as people say, Carl, you got a bunch of people tuned into your channel. You got people listening. You got this and that. And so I throw my propaganda out there sometime. I done kicked a lot of noise off with Zion and Nas and the Hebrew War Machine. Some of it personal, some of them to get y'all over here to have this conversation and to have other conversations that need to be held over here. Personal interest in different stuff, therefore they bias. I don't really have that type of interest in this stuff because I'm outside of those circles. And I'm going to tell whoever, when they come over here, if they speaking, most definitely what's right and wrong based up on the Bible. And when I say the Bible, the Torah included. Because if you ain't sacrificing and you say you keeping Torah, you a lie. You not keeping Torah. And if you running a stranger off and vexing a stranger that wish to dwell amongst you, that's not Torah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying Torah-centered is stupid, because you see in Samuel, a historical book, obedience is better than sacrifice. You see all up in Isaiah and Jeremiah, I don't want no blood from no animals. So you can't be strictly Torah-based. It's impossible.
Right. So, but that's what they try to kick to you. And then they do that to say, well, people don't like the law. Then you find Israel United in Christ and GMS on the streets of Chicago talking about, well, where's your fringes? Well, why your beard, why you mar your beard? Well, why you do this? Why you do that? And now everybody pointing fingers at each other where they finding, fault with them not keeping the entirety of the law. Well, you don't love God.
But that's the thing with Israel. That's the thing with us. It's always something, and that's where the unity, to me, comes in the problem. We see it all through history when it comes, even especially within the last 50 years. You had the Black Panthers, the Islam, the Civil Rights Movement, all these different things where we try to unify on some platform. We try to come together, but yet and still, it's always going to be some garbage when we start trying to make people do what we think that we should do versus what the Word says. When we unify on, like you just said, obedience is better than sacrifice. When we unify on that obedience, then we can get somewhere, and that's why we are commanded to come together on the Sabbath anyway and have a holy convocation, because we need to build in the book and in what's written, not in nationality.
Yeah, truly. But I can understand the cry for nationalization.
Well, I mean, it's what both of y'all were saying. The basis of our nationality is moral responsibility. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, written in the law, you got stuff like you ain't supposed to pick all of your crops. Leave a tenth of them for the poor people. Like, that's the context. Like, that's the thing. We supposed to be a revolutionary nation. The revolution is within the laws, you know what I'm saying, within the requirements, like, to basically do good to each other.
It's the sanctification of it, not being like the other nations, trying to lord over each other and do those type of things.
Yeah.
And
it's
that's
really both.
The nationality aspect of it could be something that we can center around, but only if it's based off of nationality by obedience, because nationality by itself is weak. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
Right, because we're going to deport you. In the sense of using those type of terminologies dealing with nation, you're going to get deported. You're going to get put out the nation.
Yeah, it's to be, and that's what I'm saying, to be in a nation that doesn't have the substance of a kingdom-type attitude where you're going to keep laws, statutes, and commandments, that's what brings us to being Israel, because that's why we was adopted to take the name of his name, which is Israel, because we obeyed. Like you said, all Israel ain't Israel. So just because you're circumcised of the flesh don't mean you're circumcised of the heart. And if you're not circumcised of the heart, or not the Israel that's actually truly serving him the way that he wants you to, you're worse than the ones who don't even know. He said it's better to know and do versus not. It's not something that we should pride ourselves on just to be Israel. It's not enough.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, anybody that Israel should know that, but that's for those new coming in.
That's the problem. They don't. And that's why I always say these discussions, and they go nowhere.
That's because people push the Hebraic mindset on people, not the godly mindset on people. Well, we got to do it like the Hebrews.
Mindset.
And what I keep telling people is it's a handful of Hebrews. You want to be like the Ishmaelite? You want to be like the Edomite? You want to be like Keturah? What you want to do? So the Hebrews out there.
See, but when they said that all Israel ain't Israel, then you don't even have to really go to the Hebrewic part, because Israel just within itself. If you're not Israel of a circumcision of the heart, you're not Israel. You're not a part.
Being Israel is to be a son of God, adopted son of God with the family name. And if you're a son of God, what God doing, you put forth godly attributes. So if you're not putting forth godly attributes, you're not Israel. You a bastard.
Exactly. That you're a Pharisee and a Sadducee who definitely ain't gonna make it. That's why they say you have to exceed the righteousness of the Pharisees, right, and the scribes, because they don't even do what they say. So even though they're Israel, they're not gonna be accountable.
When you're talking about nationality, this, that, and the other, truly, when you deal with nationality, you could go to Hebrew and you could say sons of Jacob, because now you're dealing in the physical plane. When you go to being a child of Israel, whom's the father name itself, whom the whole family get the adopted name, if you want to say Yasharallah, this, that, or whatever you want to say that name is, Israel or whatever, then you know that to be in that family and not get divorced from that family or put out that family, you have to do the will of the Father. You have to put forth those attributes. Now, we done went into overtime. Don't fall off, or you won't be able to get back in. 832, if you would like to speak, hit 1. But we got about an hour to go. I don't know if y'all want to stay here that long, but we talking. We still recording on YouTube, so just wanted to inform y'all, because if y'all start falling off, then I'm going to be hanging up. But yeah, I'm just saying.
Excuse me, Israel?
I hear you.
Hello?
Yeah,
Peace, brother. You know I'm going on Friday night Bible lesson.
All right, well, I mean, when you got to go, you're welcome. I
appreciate all that knowledge.
Yeah, we talking.
Yeah, I appreciate all that knowledge. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you up there, too.
Okay.
All right.
Peace. So, it is what it is, people. All I'm saying is, people faking the funk out here and saying they for this stuff and they about their brother in love. You know what I'm saying? But if you say you're a Christian, even if you're an Israelite like myself, and you will say, well, based up on the historical aspect of the Bible, I will be considered a Christian because I will be an Israelite that's following the Messiah, was following Christ, and therefore they call them Christians. And Peter told me if I suffer for that, not to think, badly of it. So people love saying, oh, them Christians this and the Christians that. Them Christians are your Israelite brothers and sisters. So that becomes a hate. So, like I said, I don't know, man. It's crazy. The more we talk about it, the better it'll get. But, people shown this show and shown me, because some of them is real ends that I don't deal with, and they can't deal with me because I fight fire with fire. And if I feel that you a certain type of person and come in a certain type of way, then I'm going to deal with you that way. But everybody can see here that we're having a nice conversation here. Nobody's got out of hand. It's not a shout match and stuff, because everybody respectful of, everybody's time and stuff. So don't believe the hype, people. If you want to come over, you can come over. You're welcome. But if you come and you're not doing right, then you getting ejected. That's just how I roll. But go ahead.
I was going to say, man, too, because that you might find disagreement with me depending on what you done read about these people, but I wouldn't call even your terminology a Christian, which leads me to a larger issue that I have with people automatically either on one hand saying if you're dealing with the New Testament, you're a Christian, or on the other hand, acting like that's the only thing that it could be applied to is the Christian religion. But, there was a community outside of Jerusalem not too long after Yeshua died before they had even finished writing all the Gospels and all that. Like, Paul was still writing epistles, but they called it the Ebionites. The community, it means the poor. Yeah, the Ebionites. It means the poor in Hebrew. And they was basically, they were the real church from what my studies showed, in that they was an actual ecclesia. You know what I mean? The word for it being a community, that they wasn't just going to no temple, and that's what I was saying. Yeah. Unity is only the beginning of the struggle. I done been there, done that, and when you finally get down to the table and you start working with and living around people and you can't go home, that's when the real work starts. That's when the real work starts.
I used to deal with some Israelite brothers, and one of them was calling themselves for every uniting this and that. So I did some research on them. I know a little bit about them. That's why I try to tell people, like, even recalling scriptures now. It sometimes it's hard. I done learned so much, forgot so much, and really don't care for some of this stuff sometimes. I'll be like, man, I don't even want to, but it's in me to do it. It's not I can't say it's a burden to me because I love doing it. It ain't really work for me. I could have a 24-hour channel and it wouldn't be nothing. I just need the time to take a break and eat and stuff and tell a brother, hey, you go fill in till I get back or whatever. But for the most part, it's not a burden to me. But when you're dealing with the people, it makes you want to calm it down a little bit because it give you a headache, especially when you're trying to deal with people that just buttholes. You know, dealing with people like y'all. I mean, how beautiful it is for brothers to dwell together in peace, but in unity. But when it ain't that, it's a shame, and it comes down to just like the fact that I said, you know, I ain't the best reader, the best this and the best that. I never cared for them skills because I never wanted to be assimilated into the white man's system, and I ain't see no other system out here, right? And all I see is that system, and I never really wanted to be a part of it because that system, as I was telling people, it's been an atrocity all my life. So, you know, at the end of the day, brothers think they better than me. Anytime you think you're better than your brother, that already shows that you got a foul heart. I'm smarter than you, I'm better than you, and I'm this and that. Okay, you what? What that make you? I didn't always have to. I told people in this big town, and to this very day, all of them that I done told, believing it's probably been the whole town. You'll never be better than me, especially if you stay in this town. But no matter what, you know, one thing people always do, they go home. They always go home, at least in the South. You're going to end up back in the town you grew up in if you don't do nothing but come back to a funeral or whatever. And sometimes you can get stuck in the town just for that, you know. But if I see you here and I'm here, believe me, you ain't going to do no better than me. That's what I used to tell them and stuff. You're not better than me. To this very day. There's a lot of less unfortunate people around here than me, and I'm a lot more fortunate than them because of the decisions I done made. Because what they doing now, I did when I was younger. I got it out my system. Sleeping around, drinking, gambling, doing whatever I wanted to do. Believe me, I started at 14 at the dice game with the grown-ups. These people, great-grandparents around here. I started young.
And you know what, to speak to that, bro, because just like what we were just talking about a minute ago, about the, like when my brother was talking about that, I had to pull up the script because I just remember in Leviticus 23 and 22, where it said here, it says, and when you reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean ruins of corners of your field when thou reapest, neither shalt thou gather any gleaning of your harvest. Thou shalt leave them unto the poor and the stranger. I am the Lord your God. So right there, like, you know, we're talking about that brotherly love thing, and then, you know, your brother, but then also the stranger, you say you're supposed to leave it for the stranger, and that right there, and even in Deuteronomy, where it says, love ye therefore the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Yep.
How can we take the fact where that all was pointing to, from the way that I definitely see, you know, line upon line and precepts, showing where that all was pointing to Christ gathering in the stranger later when it comes to being under that blood of...
They'll tell you that stranger is Israel and ain't talking about nobody else.
Well,
so,
I see, but exactly, and I understand that, but they'll say that, but yet Egypt, we were strangers in the land of Egypt. That ain't had nothing to do with Israel, because they already know that Egypt won't Israel. So when they say folly like that, you can tell they have no understanding of the scriptures.
Believe me, I understand all that. But one thing else dealing with that, it said that even that stranger or your brother or whatever, neighbor or whatever, wasn't supposed to get a basket and take your goods off. They can glean and eat right there what they can get, but they want to put a basket down and steal, basically. So, yeah, it's a lot to that law, and there's a lot to be understood from that, you know, precept.
Well, you know, exactly. And this is what I'm saying.
The third precepts where how all of these actually went hand in hand into the actually gathering of all the sons and daughters of Adam and Abraham.
I mean, and that's why it makes much sense. it's cool to push that thought pattern, brother, but some people here ain't gonna try to hear that anyway, and those that will hear it already know it pretty much. So if we deal with the principle that it lets somebody.
The only reason I said that was to go back to the unity of the subject when it comes to the unity thereof, because that's why, as I see it, it's hard for us to get past the unity or get on the unity because we're not trying to truly unify the spirit of obedience.
It goes back to the obedience you was talking about. So let's hit the other brother right quick.
No doubt. This is what I want to say, like in respect to what you were just talking about, the particular law. You know what I'm saying, and like how we can get hung up, even like dealing with the aspect of who the strangers. Do it matter when we deal with the ethics of why that law was written? We got like cross-reference, you know what I'm saying? If you go to Proverbs 11:24, right, it say, there is that scatters and yet increases, and there is that withholds more than is meet, but it tends to poverty. Meaning it's something that scatters out, but it increases. It gets more and more, and it's something that hold back more than they supposed to, but it is poorness. It says, the liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall be watered also himself. Like, and this is my theory, right, that that's what Yeshua was dealing with, was the ethics of the law, the spirit of the law. That, you know what I'm saying, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, like, it don't matter if you think it's true or not. You can't front on how that thing is structured and how it reflects right now. They was choking off the energy of the law. Yeshua didn't come to destroy it and say, let's be lawless, but he like, man, understand why you doing what you doing, otherwise you ain't going to be able to do it right.
Right.
I
That's
agree.
what you hit him. That's what he hit him with the spiritual advancement of it, that even if you hate your brother, you a murderer. If you look up on that man, wife, you an adulterer. It's thought in the spirit. If you understand that spirit is not right, then you'll try to deal with the fact that you need a circumcision of the heart, that his law, statutes, and commandments is not dwelling in you. Because if they was, you would be convicted, or you just cutting them off. You're not dealing with that pricking or that conviction.
Exactly, and that's what I definitely agree with that totally, but because the ethics behind it, whether, like I said, whether you agree with if it's the stranger or not, or this is that, when you see that whole premise behind what he said, why he said, it all definitely goes right back to the circumcision of the heart, because it is the spirit of the matter, not the natural aspect of why he said what he said to Israel, but why he said what he said to speak to the spirit of man when it comes to the mind.
Right. That's when you know.
Changing our mindset.
That's when you know when somebody would try to do that and argue what the stranger is. Because the simplicity of a stranger is someone you know. Whether if he was 2 miles down the street or he was 1,000,000 miles away, if you don't know him and he come to that field and get something to eat, that you don't run out there with your shotgun and try to blow his brains out because he getting something, he gleaming a little something of your crops. You know, so when one try to argue that, you can see if they just a foul person.
Exactly. That's why when Christ, that's why when Jesus said, the letter. I am the truth, I am the light in the way, and he said that, eat of me, eat, he wasn't talking about his literal flesh, but eat of me, eat the word. That's why the word can be eaten, which is read by anybody and believed on by anybody. It's simplicity.
Yeah, so you can tell when a person wicked when they trying to prevent someone from gleaming in their field. Like you say, it's the spirit. They dealing with the letter and not dealing with the spirit, and then they arguing what the Hebrew word is, this and that, to justify not just doing what the law say or the spirit of the law say do.
Man, and that's a good point. Like, it's like the scripture, the prophecy, I ain't in front of the Bible right now, where it say, ye fast, but it's for strife and debate. You know what I'm saying? What do your sacrifices mean to me? It's like a stench in my nose. And that's the thing. Like, I've spent a lot of time studying the Hebrew, but the internet got a lot to do with it, yo. Just the fact that everybody want to be a star, and the fact you can, like, broadcast yourself. Because when I first got into the knowledge, I was studying the Hebrew and everything, but it wasn't to go out and talk to make a point. Like my homeboy was actually teaching the classes that we had, and I'd be feeding them information in silence. Like that's why I kind of got that habit now. You know what I'm saying? I want a conversation where we sitting down. I don't want to stand in front of you. But like I would look at the Hebrew to figure out the clarity on what I'm supposed to do, not to talk to you about it. By the time it get to you, you're seeing my behavior. You don't know if I read it in Greek, Spanish, or Hebrew, but you know my behavior, and what we get into in the conversation is really the basis of nationalism for Israel in this prophetic time is salvation. You know what I'm saying? Because salvation comes through living, like that's your lifeline, is that spirit of the law. Because if you Old Testament, you got to pay attention to the New Covenant. The law is going to be written on your inward parts is in Deuteronomy. That's in Torah. You know what I'm saying? You can't get around, taking that moral responsibility within yourself and us coming together on that ground and the relationships that we build out of that, the work that we do out of that, the blessings that can be seen out of that. Israel's purpose is to be a light unto all nations. Exactly. This is why I'm like, you dudes you youngins in the conscious community, to slow down and question this whole black thing. Because if it leads you to talk about white supremacy and these crackers, and you like in this dualistic Masonic matrix of black versus white, of one side versus the other, while at the end of the game they putting all y'all back into the box with the board. You know what I'm saying? So what that do? Exactly. The unity ain't about color. It ain't about, see, where we stuck out is knowledge of identity. You see what I'm saying? That's only one part of Israel. Once Israel wake up, you know what I'm saying, then what? Like, you never, who has ever woke up in the morning and you just, like, feel accomplished because you wake up? Like, you going to give y'all some praise, like, thank you for waking me up, but you don't feel like your day is done. Now you supposed to do something with your day once you woke up. And that's what we stuck at. Like, I woke up. Let me sit in the bed and talk on the phone about my dream. Let me get on Facebook and talk about my dream. But your dream was telling you to do something, and you lessening the importance of it by going all external with it, trying to stand over somebody trying to teach. And you see that dynamic nowadays because it's spirituality filtered through the internet, when at the end of the day, when you deal with all these people that came out of slavery situation going way back to Moses, man, their personalities had to be as messed up as ours are. You see what I'm saying? When you think about Yeshua and the time that he came to say what he said, when the Romans, you talk about police brutality, the Romans didn't play that. You see what I'm saying? And he coming saying, like, I'm y'all real leader, you slave people. You know what I'm saying? I'm y'all real leader, and we talking about a whole different government that ain't based on all the sin that Rome is making money off of. You know what I'm saying? What was the purpose of him coming to these people? What was the purpose of the history of Israel, where our face has been in the mud worse than anybody? It ain't nothing to be prideful about saying you're Hebrew Israelite, or whatever combination of it you want to say. We the dumbest people, the stiff-neckedest people. And where the salvation come is the healing that come out of our relationships with each other doing this work. The law and the precepts and all that, they're just written words to capture the spirit of harmony, of wholeness, of what shalom means. Shalom really means wholeness. It don't mean peace, it means like wholeness. Ain't no little dudes, ain't no big dudes at the top of no pyramid. We just whole. We won, and then to show the people that example. So it's a good thing. I say that to say it's a good thing that the unification attempts are happening now, and that people do have the wrong intentions in different cases, because it's the season where, the Most High going to reveal all that, and we have to understand the process of how we become corrupt as leaders, as followers, etc. Because all this stuff we going through now, all the stuff we've been through historically, is to teach the world like how not to make each other suffer, basically.
Hey,
you know
but
what I'm saying? In iniquity.
You know what? You and somebody else that stated something else to me this week that made me think a whole lot. It's just looking at my family. I'm the first generation now, pretty much. Because I only got one auntie alive on my mother and father's side that's still living. So my generation is the generation that's looked up to now. And there's 3 generations under me. You know, I'm a great uncle and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm the youngest of that generation, but if we just look at our leaders, they have been dying off. They have been leaving legacy to someone that's not their son or their son or whatever. And the Dr. Benz and the Dr. John Henry Clarks and the ones that came before us is gone. And our generation got the torch. We either gonna let it go out or we gonna carry the torch. You know what I'm saying? It's in our hands. And that's what it boils down to, that a lot of people is jockeying for position to be leaders. And they haven't really been born to be leaders or put in a position to be. That's why they fumbling the ball and letting the torch go out. And doing false and harmful things to the nation to call themselves to be able to lead the nation. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it is, people. It might take people about 5 or 6, maybe 10 years, because no business, no endeavor in life just happen overnight. You know what I'm saying? So it might take a couple more years for everybody to get their foot in and get their identity out here in the world and stuff. But that's what it truly boils down to. A lot of people got identity crisis now. They don't know who they are. They don't know what they want to do. Then they got, like me, I ain't got mouths to feed. I ain't got a bunch of babies, and I ain't got 5 or 6 women in the other room back there. You know, so I don't have things to what's the word? Distract me. I can't even get the word out. Distract me. You know what I'm saying? That's why I do 2 shows a day, this and that, and, you know, throw my propaganda out there and everything else. See, it ain't nothing wrong with propaganda. Propaganda used right is righteous propaganda. When it's used wrong, then it's unrighteous propaganda. So I tell you, I'm throwing propaganda out there. I'm throwing titles up out there. Everything. Either you cover the list or you don't. It's cool. You know, like the brother said, it's truly a form of entertainment, but it's also a manner of getting your attention and talking about the things that need to be talked about. You know, I understand controversy sells. I understand this and that, and believe me, I see how everybody else using it. Don't think I'm not going to use the same tactics. I'm just going to let you know I'm using the tactics. And when you see me using the tactics, don't call me a hypocrite, because I'm using the tactics. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to keep it transparent over here. You always going to be able to see through me, and you're going to be able to look in the closet and ain't no skeletons. Whatever in there, you will be able to see it, but you ain't going to find no skeletons. I ain't got no dead bodies in my closet. You know what I'm saying? I done dumped them all out a long time ago.
Well, I tell you, one thing that I've seen.
Speak here once, but go ahead, bro.
One thing that I've seen, to speak to you know, more what the brother was talking about too, is being in what you was, you know, speaking on about the teaching thing, being in the teaching field, like, because I work with kids, kindergarten and 12th grade, and being a teacher, it is something that I see all through school, where you always have to have, you know, a structure. You have to have order, structure, and a system. And these things is vital to teaching, no matter who it is. And when it comes back down to that obedience thing, there always has to be a structure. And I don't care, like, 'cause I work with a lot of, at-risk kids, which is really cool for us, but for Israel, but and even the special needs children. Now, the special needs children, some of them can't talk, some of them can't, walk or anything. They can't even feed themselves, right? But one thing that they can do, because that's why they're at school, they can listen. The simplicity behind the whole matter is obedience. If anybody, whatever form or stage or level of obedience that they are at, and that they can receive, what they can deal right in that arrow, that box, that they can receive that instruction and actually listen to it, then they can work out their own salvation through prayer and trouble. And that's why I look at the whole process when it comes to anybody on the face of this planet that want to learn, because we all go to school to learn, whatever we learn to this extent, even to be able to read the Bible. Because I know a lot of people can't even read the Bible. But it's like, or read, period. But it's like, if we can obey, then we can do this thing. And that's, to me, that's the whole premise of why, Jesus all the way going back to Adam and Eve. Why, when he said, thou shalt not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because he was setting up the obedience. That's why Lucifer or Satan got kicked out of heaven, because he sinned, which is disobedience, which is transgression of the law. And to me, that's what it all boils down to. And that's why I further am convinced that as long as we obey these laws, statutes, and commandments that are set up, and get the idea of why we're obeying them, like the brother was speaking about, and having that understanding come through at the end of the day, then we can grow in this whole grand picture of unity, because we're unifying behind something that's solid, which is.
But that's where the real and the fake come in at. How you know the real from the fake. Like the brother being saying, when it comes down to the work, you see who it is. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody out here gonna say they outworking me. Believe me. Like I said, most of the time, I'm not talking on certain things because my mind is full of other stuff. I've been studying, and when I said vocation earlier and stuff, I've been studying Booker T. Washington, because, the brothers that not be in any hangouts and stuff, they don't see me in them hangouts like they used to. I don't communicate with them like that. So I'm on other studies, nationhood and things of that. Like I threw this. Y'all probably ain't on YouTube, but those on there will see. I've been studying, that for years. I've been studying a lot of stuff, because come 2016, when the mood and the hearts of the people are in a better place to receive this stuff after they see all this stuff that's going on, because you got to understand just the season that we coming into anyway. The trees and the leaves and everything for to die, and it's waiting for springtime. It's waiting for the God's true new year, and it's going to be something new come next year. So you got to prepare yourself now and deal with stuff now. It's wintertime. People going to be in the house watching shows, listening, trying to gain knowledge and understanding of what's going on. When that time come and it start to spring again, then, who's going to be prepared to really start planting seeds and seeing the growth of the nation, the people and stuff. So you got to get certain things under your belt. Now, that's why I said I wanted the social, political, economic debate with the brother Naomi on the 6th, next Friday. I'm going to be talking government stuff like now, and nationalizational stuff like now, and things of that nature, where the Pan-African think, they all-inclusive ideology of Africans is a little bit superior than the nationalizing of the nation of Israel, because Pan-Africans can't point you out the nation that they want to deal with on the continent of Africa. But I can clearly show you the land mass and the portion of the land mass that I want to deal with, and I think it's for my people. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is. You know, so I'm gaining more knowledge. I've been dealing with the preterist community more, and I gained stuff from that. A different perspective, how people looking at prophecy, 70 AD came or he's not coming, and this and that. I'm just dealing with other things. I'm not really trying to deal with the conscious community, or one trying to deal with them, because I was working and coming home and have to be on my Pacific stuff. But now that I got time on my hand, the things that are on the table to be dealt with are being dealt with. That's just it. So I see Brother Ben fell off. I know you want to go to probably Friday night Bible class, don't you, bro?
Yeah, I'm listening. I got it here in the background.
You multitasking. 832. Yeah. Speak, say peace or whatever. Who that?
What happened?
I'm speaking to the other caller, 832.
Oh.
Seeing if they want to speak. But I'm finna bounce, cause anybody watching the computer screen can see I'm yawning and and things of that nature. So what I'm gonna do, wait before you hang up, I'm gonna say peace, and I'm turning YouTube off. Peace to y'all on the YouTube. And let me turn that off. Then I'm going to go over here. I'm going to say peace to you, bro.
All right, peace, brother.
All right. And I'm going to go in the back room.
All right. Send me the link.